Welcome everyone to this explainer. Look, today we're going to completely shift your mental model of what AI can actually do for your daily workflow. You're here because you want efficiency, right? You want structure, and frankly, you want to stop wasting time on mind-numbing repetitive tasks. Our absolute goal today is to take you from treating ChatGPT like some basic simple chatbot and leveling you up to utilizing it as a persistent, autonomous workspace that genuinely gets real work done. We're going to transform how you interact with this tool from the ground up.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is a pretty harsh truth extracted straight from our source material. Most people use ChatGPT like a search bar with better manners. You know the drill. You type a question, you get an answer, you close the tab, and by tomorrow, all that context is completely forgotten. Now, that approach isn't exactly wrong, but it leaves an immense amount of productivity potential literally just sitting on the table. So we're going to look at how to stop asking for simple answers and start actually partnering with the AI to build systems.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with Step 1, going beyond the search bar. Step 2, setting up projects as your persistent workspace. Step 3, building custom GPTs as specialized assistants. Step 4, exploring agents, memory, and tasks. And finally, Step 5, the honest limits. Let's get into it.
Section 1. Beyond the search bar. Right, so before we can get into the advanced workspace features, we have to fix the foundation. The absolute main reason people get frustrated with AI output is because vague prompts inevitably lead to generic, unhelpful, and let's be real, boring outputs. The model is essentially forced to guess your intent. And this brilliantly illustrates the difference between starting from scratch with a weak prompt versus commanding the AI with a highly structured, effective one. Imagine just saying, "Write me a sales email." The AI has to guess your tone, your audience, your product. It's going to sound like a robot wrote it, for sure. But look at the detail on the other side. As a direct, no-fluff sales copywriter, write a 3-sentence cold email to a busy operations manager offering a free audit with the ask in the first line. It's the exact same fundamental request, but it opens up an entirely different universe of quality in the output.
So how do we do that? That highly structured prompt was built using what's called the PTCF framework. It stands for persona, task, context, and format. First, persona. Who should the AI act as, like an expert editor or maybe a skeptical investor? Next, task. What's the actual specific goal here? Third is context. What background information or hard constraints does it need to know? And finally, format. Do you want a bulleted list, 3 distinct options, or maybe a table? Just applying this framework instantly transforms basic requests into incredibly actionable, high-quality drafts.
Section 2. Projects. Your persistent workspace.
Now that we know how to actually talk to the AI, let's move to the organizational layer. Projects solve the single most painful issue power users face, and that's having to re-explain your context and re-upload your files every single time you start a new chat. To really grasp how this scoped persistence works, the source material uses a fantastic analogy. Think of a project as a lecture hall. In a regular chat, when you leave the room, everything vanishes. But in a project lecture hall, your students, their laptops, your specific instructions on the whiteboard, and your reference notebooks, they all securely stay in the room. When you walk back in tomorrow, all of that context is still right there, ready for ongoing work. You don't have to start over. It's a real game changer.
Setting up a project is actually super straightforward. First, you create and name it. Be specific here, like client proposals, not just work stuff. Second, you write the instructions. This is really where the magic happens. You define the tone, the rules, and the context for the whole workspace. Third, you upload reference files. Think brand guidelines or past successful proposals. And finally, you just start chatting. Every new conversation inside this project automatically inherits everything from steps 2 and 3.
So the crucial point here is avoiding the common setup errors that turn this powerful workspace into just another useless folder. Please, do not create too many fragmented projects. Group them by broad contexts, like public content, and stop using vague instructions like "be helpful." Upload concrete reference files, because the AI learns way better from 3 great examples than from a giant paragraph of abstract rules. And lastly, do not ignore anti-patterns. You absolutely must tell the AI what not to do, like telling it to literally never use the word synergy.
Section 3. Custom GPTs, specialized assistants.
All right, let's transition to the specialized layer. If a project is your ongoing personal workspace, a custom GPT is a standalone, purpose-built AI tool that you create to perform a highly specific function.
Going back to our earlier analogy, if a project is the lecture hall, a custom GPT is the professor. This is a domain-specific expert that you build exactly once. This professor can call on external tools, access specific APIs, and deliver tailored expertise. The real beauty here is that unlike a private project workspace, you can hand this custom GPT off to your teammates, your clients, or even the public. It allows them to benefit from the exact workflow and logic you've designed. It's incredibly powerful because it is entirely shareable.
Now, what's really interesting here is how clearly we can lay out the definitive differences between these two overlapping features. Projects are primarily for organizing your personal work, while custom GPTs act as specialized assistants. Projects give you project-level context control, but custom GPTs give you absolute control over the core prompt and behavior. Projects are limited to internal tools, whereas custom GPTs can actually reach out to external third-party APIs like Zapier. And critically, projects are completely private to you, but custom GPTs are totally shareable.
There is one major hurdle when setting up both projects and custom GPTs, though, and it's what we call the voice problem. Just telling the AI to be professional almost always fails, because self-described voice rules are usually totally incomplete. To fix this, you need to upload an analytically extracted style profile. This is basically a quantified document based on your actual real-world writing. When you upload this to your workspace, it creates a genuinely authentic, platform-independent voice that actually sounds like you, rather than a generic robot.
Section 4. Agents, Memory, and Tasks.
We're now leveling up to the autonomous layer of ChatGPT features. This is where we shift from an AI that just answers your questions to an AI that proactively performs operations in the background. Check out this bold metric, 78.7%. This represents the ChatGPT agent's capability score on the OS World benchmark for operating browsers and desktop software. And why does this matter? Because the human baseline for this exact same benchmark is only 72.4%. This means the agentic system is now actively clearing the human baseline for navigating multi-step, complex desktop and web tasks. It can click, scroll, and retrieve data entirely autonomously. It's wild.
Beyond desktop agents, we have 3 massive advanced capabilities to talk about. First up, deep research. This isn't just a quick Google search. It's a multi-step agent that synthesizes dozens of pages, generates structured reports, and get this, it can even connect to internal enterprise data stores. Second is memory. This allows the AI to globally persist personal facts and preferences across all your conversations completely automatically. And third, tasks. You can now schedule the AI to perform recurring operations, like pulling a weekly industry briefing, entirely on its own.
Section 5. The honest limits. As incredible as all this sounds, we really need to bring this explainer to a crucial reality check. To truly be a power user, you absolutely must understand the inherited risks of these agentic and generative systems. They are not flawless. Let's move to and see how this builds a necessary sense of discipline. Here's what ChatGPT still cannot do safely. It cannot independently verify facts from sourced web content. It synthesizes what it finds, sure, but it doesn't fact-check it. It cannot provide critical citations without a lingering risk of hallucination. And most importantly, it cannot safely execute irreversible agentic actions, like submitting a payment or deleting files without a human in the loop to confirm the action. To really anchor the hype in reality, consider this number, 9.6%. Even when the AI is actively browsing the web for research, its hallucination rate is still 9.6%. Now, obviously, this is a massive drop from the staggering 47% hallucination rate it has when browsing is turned off. But that remaining 9.6% proves exactly why web browsing is absolutely essential for serious research, and why human verification remains, frankly, not optional for high-stakes work. We've covered a tremendous amount of ground today. From the PTCF framework to persistent projects, shareable custom GPTs, and autonomous agents. You now have the mental model to stop using AI as a simple search bar and start using it as a true workspace. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative question to spark your next step. Take a look at your workflow right now. What is the one task you'd build a custom GPT for today? Seriously, think about it. Apply these frameworks and go get some actual work done. Thanks so much for learning with me today.